Hello, and welcome to Entry Point, a game on Roblox. Wait, how'd that get in here? Welcome to Entry Point, a game that I already own on Steam. And you should own too, because the thing that I'll tell you right off the bat before we even talk about this game is that it's very clear that Entry Point is simply a ripoff of Payday 2. Payday 2 is a heisting game that came out in 2013 that's $10 on Steam. So it came out in 2013, your computer can probably run it, that's pretty old, and it's $10, which is not very expensive, all things considered. So if you're thinking about playing Entry Point from seeing this video, don't do that. Go play Payday 2, because Payday 2 is better in every conceivable way. But we'll talk about exactly what Payday 2 does better in a minute. That being said, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, Eclipse, that's not fair. You can't complain about the game that ripped off Payday 2 for not being as good. And oh yes, I can, and I will. And you'll see why once we get around to it. Anyways, the thing about Entry Point that's kind of strange is that the game isn't bad, but it's also not very good. Regardless, what is Entry Point and by proxy Payday 2? I said they were heisting games earlier, that's probably not super helpful. The idea of Entry Point and Payday 2 is that you get your crew together, whether it be AI teammates, your actual friends, or in the case of Entry Point, if you're playing alone, nobody, and you're given a job. That job usually consists of going to an area, extracting something, whether it be gold, money, a prisoner, information, whatever. And how you decide to extract that stuff is up to you. Usually with there being two options presented. Either you go in stealthy and you get in quick, clean, and quietly, or you go in loud, guns blazing, lots of armor, explosives, loud-ass drills, and then if you do that, you need to fight a ton of police. Sometimes it's not always police, sometimes it's rival gangs, sometimes it's who knows what. But the point is, you're fighting a ton of people. Now I'll get one thing out of the way right away, and that's that I am awful at the stealth in these games. Whether it be Payday 2 or Entry Point, I'm terrible at both of them. I just can't stealth. I'm so bad. And it's weird because generally speaking, I like stealth games and I'm good at them. But in terms of Payday 2 stealth and Entry Point stealth, I just don't get it. It doesn't click in my brain. Whether it be using my drill, which is loud as hell, and thinking it'll be quiet and having it alert the entire area that I'm there, or just getting trigger happy, mowing down guards, and then them seeing the bodies and raising the alarm, I just can't get through these missions in stealth. I tried a little bit at the start of Entry Point, gave up very quickly, and went back to what I know from Payday 2, which is lots of armor, lots of guns, and lots of kills. That being said, this is where Entry Point shines. I think it's the most fun that you'll have in the game, and it's fighting off hordes of AI. It's fun in Payday 2, and it's fun here in Entry Point as well. So if there's one thing that I can give the game, at least they nail that. They don't totally nail it because you're a bit of an immortal walking tank, especially if you have armor, where you can just like stand out in the open and get riddled with 700 bullets and be fine. But I feel like this is probably something that can be fixed with higher difficulty modes, albeit I didn't play in the higher difficulty modes because number one, I was playing by myself, so that didn't seem like a very good idea. And number two, the stuff that I brought in was so incredibly expensive that if the difficulty works how I assume it was, which seems really flawed to me, where if you bring a bunch of stuff with you, it costs a lot, and if you're playing on a higher difficulty, you need to pay for your stuff. I don't quite understand, but basically if it works the way I think it does, which it very well might not, I don't know, I didn't try, it would mean that if I went in guns blazing on a higher difficulty, I would end up paying more to bring the weapons with me and the armor than I would getting out of the contract, so it just didn't make sense to do. But regardless, the point is, if you have armor, you're basically immortal. Not only that, but you can fill your backpack with medkits if you're really worried about it, and those medkits refill about half your health. So it takes 700 bullets to do any amount of damage, and then you just pop a medkit and you're back to almost full. I don't know. But you know what? It doesn't really matter if you're immortal because that's sort of part of the charm. The idea here is a power trip. You gunning down a ton of people by yourself. That's the fun part, and it is fun here. So I'm not gonna knock it there. That being said, it stops being fun relatively quickly because there's one fatal flaw with Entry Point's combat, and that's your ammo capacity. Something that Payday 2 mastered, and Entry Point did not. Which is really strange to me because they were ripping off Payday 2, so how'd they screw this up? Your guess is as good as mine, I'm not sure. But the problem with Entry Point is that there are so many enemies that you are inevitably going to run out of ammo very quickly. And when you run out of ammo, there are no ammo bag gadgets. You can't equip a bag of ammo like you can in Payday 2. Which means that the only way you can get ammo once you've run out is to pilfer ammo off of your dead enemies. And the only way to get ammo from enemies is to walk over an enemy's gun and hope it's in the same caliber as the weapon that you were using. Now, what weapons the enemies are using is random. Sometimes they'll have DMRs, sometimes they'll have assault rifles, sometimes they'll have shotguns, sometimes they'll have SMGs. You never know, and all these different guns have different ammo types. So if you bring in a sniper rifle, for example, and the AIs don't show up with snipers for a long time, you're just gonna run out of ammo, and then the gun you brought in is effectively a paperweight that you're gonna swap out. So in Entry Point, I spent a ton of time just running around trying to pick up weapons while I had no ammo. And it's really awkward because once again, you're like immortal. So you're running through hails of gunfire, looking around for a weapon so that way you can fight back. It's just like, I don't get it. Now, I assume that the reason that it is this way is because the developers behind the game wanted to make it so that way you would spec out in this skill tree in order to get extra ammo capacity. I haven't brought it up yet, but Entry Point has a massive skill tree that has a ton of percentage bonuses. Payday 2 also has skill trees like this, albeit it's executed way better, unsurprisingly, because there's a lot of actual, real, like, tangible skills and stuff that you unlock through here instead of just 10% more drill speed. But, whatever. What do you expect? It's a Roblox game. But the point is, there's a bunch of things that give you extra ammo capacity, so it makes sense, I guess, that you run out of ammo, but it's not fun if you need to level up a ton in order to get to those nodes in order to actually use guns that you brought with you instead of just the cops' guns. Now, Payday 2 also solved this problem in a different way, which I also don't know why this game didn't do, and that's that you can't pick up enemies' weapons in Payday 2, but what you can do is pick up ammo that they drop after they've been killed. They drop global ammo. So if you walk over a dead enemy, they will have dropped bullets and you can use it. So if you're really hurting for ammo, you can just run over enemies' dead bodies and get more bullets. It means you get to use the gun that you actually brought with you, and overall, like, I just don't have any clue how the developers behind this game that they effectively copied almost one for one didn't realize these things while making it. Like, what happened? You had the blueprint right there, and you still screwed it up! How? But it doesn't stop there. The screw-ups don't stop there. Why would they? Because it's Roblox. I can't escape the pain. Opening doors in Entry Point sucks. Why is it so hard to open doors? It feels like half the doors in this game are locked with some kind of electric lock. They always are. And the way that you get through the lock? Well, you could lockpick it if you have the skill to do so, which is basically pointless, I assume, if you're not doing stealth. You could blow it up with C4, which is what I usually did, because that just instantly opens the door. You could find a key card or some other way of opening the door via that way, or the usual and most common method, which is that you use a drill. Now, in Payday 2, if you want to drill open a door, you walk up to the door, you hold F, and it places a drill on the door. You can play the game until the door opens. The drill usually breaks while it's going, so you walk over, you hold F for a little bit to repair the drill, and then it goes back to work. Sometimes a little bit tedious when the drill breaks a few times and you get unlucky, but regardless, the point is, once you put the drill down, you can play. Entry Point, you can't play. You don't place the drill in Entry Point. You stand there and stare at the door while drilling it open. You have to sit here and just wait for the bar to fill up. Why did it have to be that way? And it's like this for like every single door. Again, they had the blueprint of Payday 2. They had to have at least owned this game and played it before to rip it off in Roblox. And yet, they didn't at one point think that maybe you shouldn't have to stare at every single door for like 15 seconds and not play the game. And the worst part is that the technology in order to place down a drill and open a door is in the game. There's multiple parts in the game where you go up to vaults and other things and you place down items and then it starts a timer, and after that timer, a hole is opened up or a door's been breached or something. So they had the technology, they just chose not to? I guess? Like, what happened? I don't know. But you know what? Regardless of door openings, regardless of the ammo problems, it's still kind of fun to go in and shoot people. It's not something that's for everyone. I have a friend who absolutely hates Payday because he can't stand fighting bots, but I, for one, enjoy the power trip. I play a lot of first-person shooters where I'm going up against enemies that can kill me in like 2 bullets, and it's super sweaty, and so it's nice to go into a more casual setting and just gun down a shitload of guys. So that's pretty much it for the gameplay aspects of Entry Point. The last thing that we have to talk about is the story, and it's kind of ass, so I'll just get it out of the way as quick as I can. The story is not good. I'm not surprised that it's not good because it's a Roblox game. I know Payday 2 has an overarching story, but it's also incredibly hard to follow, and no one really cares about it as far as I know. Maybe people do. I know that I never did. I didn't really know anybody when we played who was invested in the story, because you go into these games to just heist, make money, level up, do your skill trees, that kind of stuff. You don't go in for the story. At least, again, I don't think so. But anyways, the story here, for some reason, they decided to tell out of order. I'm not sure what the purpose of that was. I don't know if that was like an artistic choice that just failed miserably, but it fails miserably. I was very confused up until the midpoint of the game on what the hell was going on, and then I realized they were telling the story out of order. I'd like play a mission and then all of a sudden something that hadn't happened yet and a character that I hadn't met would show up and I'd be like, what is going on? But eventually you figure it out. Basically, you're just this nameless thug. You get recruited into this organization named Halcyon, and you're in there and you do some jobs for them, and you hear about this big bad man who betrayed the organization called Jackdaw. And then later it turns out that the big reveal is that you got betrayed by the organization, and this guy named Ren tries to kill you and kills your companion Rose, and you don't know that yet, and then it's stupid obvious, but you find out later that her grave is there, and you're like, oh no, she's dead, and then you work together with Jackdaw to take down the organization you were in originally. And of course, naturally, at the end of the game, you sacrifice yourself in order to destroy the whole thing because it's all cliche nonsense. It's not very good. Like I told you guys, it's not very good. I wouldn't play it for the story, but if you have friends to play it with, then go for it. So really what it comes down to is Entry Point good? No. Is it bad? No. So that's where I'm stuck. Like, what do I do here? Do I recommend this game to you? Sure, yeah, I do. If you have friends to play with, and you can't afford $10 Payday 2, then go ahead. You can go play this game. It's probably better than most of the games on Roblox. It's got more to it. It's got like a real story with real cutscenes, which is more than 90% of the game. It's got a real gameplay loop with a ton of replayability if you actually cared about the replayability. So like, it's not awful. But that being said, just go play Payday 2. There's nothing that Entry Point does that is better there than is better in Payday 2. The ammo situation, better in Payday 2. The door situation and unlocking stuff, better in Payday 2. The stealth, even though I suck at it, better in Payday 2. You get AI companions, which you don't get when playing alone in Entry Point, better in Payday 2. the whole skill tree system that has real unlocks and a ton of mixing and matching and thousands, if not millions, of different combinations that you can make to build your character. Better in Payday 2. Like, the point is, just play Payday 2. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say. I've harped on long enough. I've told you to go play Payday 2 enough times. You're not going to, because you're all Roblox players, assuming anyone even watches this video. But that's all I have to say. So, you know what? If you enjoyed the video, you like Payday 2, then you can leave a like and subscribe. If you don't, and you're an entry point shill for some ungodly reason, then you can dislike and not do those things, although I won't see it because YouTube took away dislikes anyway. And with all that being said, have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I will see you guys next time.